Hey there, good morning, welcome to the JeepSolid garage. So today we're going to get the thermostat back in my 94 YJ, get this thing running. And this video is part of a series where this Jeep, this inline 6, it had a blown head gasket right between cylinders 2 and 3. I had no compression there. Let me show you real quick. Here is the lovely head gasket that came off of this inline 6. So right here between cylinders 2 and 3, blown head gasket, I was getting no compression. So this is all part of a head gasket replacement on this engine. This whole series is linked in the description below. So if you need to know how to do your head gasket, how to take the head off, the manifold, all that kind of stuff, check that series out. That'll be very helpful. And this video series is sponsored by Engine Tech. I'm using their gasket set on this project. So inside of this gasket kit here, we are going to be doing the thermostat today. So let's find our thermostat gasket. And it looks like this guy right here. So I got the head and manifold, everything back together on the engine, the belt, alternator, we did all of that stuff. But now we are down to the thermostat, so we just got to clean off that gasket surface. And here's our old thermostat, the thermostat housing. We got to get that cleaned up. Or here's our thermostat. That's my radiator cap. What am I talking about? There's my old thermostat. Gonna clean that up. And these bolts, we're gonna get all this cleaned up. It's a good idea to put a new thermostat in, but I just want to get this back together and running because my goal is to get this out this spring and driving. And getting to this point where the thermostat is out, we've got the thermostat housing. This just comes off with these two little bolts. It's really not that hard to do. First thing you need to do though is drain some of your coolant because you're going to be leaking coolant when you take this apart. These two hoses here attach onto the thermostat housing. You just disconnect that after you've drained some of your fluid. You don't need to drain it all, just about half of your coolant. And draining the coolant's really not that hard. On the passenger side of the radiator, there's a little petcock right there in the middle of the screen. You just twist that and fluid should drain out. If that gives you any issue at all though, just slide over to the driver's side, and on the bottom of the radiator right there is a hose. You can disconnect that and drain fluid there. And of course you need to be doing this when the engine is cool. You don't want hot coolant squirting out at you. Then the thermostat just comes off with these two little bolts, one long one and one short one. Disconnect your sensor right here. Then the housing comes off, these two hoses come off. And our thermostat sets down in here like that. Now let's get this prepared for the new gasket. We're just gonna make sure that there's no old RTV on this, a nice clean surface. This is a cast iron head, so you need to be careful that you don't put gouges in it. If it's an aluminum head, you gotta be super careful because aluminum is very easy to scratch. And I'm using a brass brush on this just to make sure it's shiny clean. A little bit of brake cleaner. All right, that looks much better. All of our parts are shiny clean now, but primarily we just want to make sure that this gasket surface is clean. Our new gasket from Engine Tech is going to fit on just like that. And then our thermostat goes on, and that whole assembly goes on to the engine block. But first we're going to get a little RTV. It actually says to put a little bit of RTV on both sides of this, which I think is a really good idea, especially with me. The housing here, I've got a little bit of pitting in the metal here, so I want that RTV to fill in those little holes. Don't want any leaks. if your thermostat has a little hole in the top of it, some people actually drill a little hole, a little burping hole. If it does have a hole, be sure that goes towards the top. This one doesn't. I haven't ever had an issue with this thermostat. It's been working just fine for me. So I'm gonna just leave it as is. And after a little bit of fighting, I got both bolts in there, but my recommendation, if you're doing this job, go ahead and take the belt off, because the belt is just in the way. I went ahead and did it without removing the belt, but honestly, it was a pain. So I'm gonna just get these snug. I'm not gonna get them real tight yet. I'm gonna wait 15-20 minutes for this RTV to cure. Then I'll go ahead and torque them. But yeah, this bottom bolt, I was able to push the belt out of the way enough to get it in there okay. That'll give you a lot more room. Let me show you real quick, talk you through how to do that. So we're gonna let this set for a little bit. On this Jeep Wrangler with the inline 6, to remove the belt, the power steering pump here, this is how it adjusts. Right down underneath, on the very bottom down there, there's an adjustment bolt. Before you undo that guy, there's a locking bolt farther down under here. So you gotta undo that locking bolt. And then on the back side here, there's 2 bolts. Right here, you gotta loosen both of those guys. You don't have to take them all the way out. Just loosen them up so that this whole thing, it'll just pivot on this bolt right here. So I actually loosen this guy up as well. So undo the locking bolt right down here, and then you have your adjustment bolt right here that you tighten it and loosen it with. Loosen that guy, and these 2 guys down at the side here. And yeah, getting that belt out of the way, that'll save you a lot of hassle. Let's go ahead and hook up our hoses. The hose to the heater core. I'd rather have just a regular strap, a hose strap on there, but these guys will do for now. One thing I don't like about this style is you can't adjust these. They're either crimped or not. There's no tightening or loosening of them. Alrighty, we got those thermostat housing bolts torqued to, I think it was 156 inch-pounds. Not very tight. Now we can go ahead and start filling this up with coolant. Probably double check my petcock on the bottom. Guess I'll find out real quick here if it's closed. I think it's closed. Looks like it's closed. I don't see fluid running out, so that's a good sign. We're gonna fill the radiator up here with coolant, and then we're gonna burp it. So to burp it, we're gonna just fill it up to the top here. We're gonna leave the cap off the radiator. And I don't actually have a burping funnel right now. They're super handy. I need to get one. But we're gonna just keep adding fluid as the level here goes down. As the thermostat inside of the housing opens up, it'll pull coolant into the head there. And when it does that, the fluid level here will drop. So we just got to make sure that we're keeping it topped off here. As it heats up to operating temperature, we want to get all the air out of the system. Well, it's time for that big moment. Let's start it up, give it a try. For those of you that follow my channel, hey Tootsie. For those of you that follow my channel, you know that I've been working on this for actually quite a few weeks. Redoing the head, that blown head gasket, putting the new manifold on. Tootsie says hi. Anyways, let's fire it up, and we'll keep filling the coolant off, top it off as it heats up. You're not gonna like this. I'm gonna start the car. You're gonna run. Let me give you a head start. sounds, and it actually sounds so much better. Previously, when I was getting no combustion or no compression in those cylinders 2 and 3, it ran like, I don't know, ran like you were going over a bunch of moguls bumps down a washboard road. It ran rough. So much better now. I don't know, you guys probably can't appreciate, if you're finding this video for the first time, how happy I am with how this is running now. Good grief, it was running rough earlier. That's what happens when you have a 6-cylinder engine running on 4 cylinders. So at this point, I'm just warming it up, getting it up to operating temperature so that thermostat will open and pull that coolant into the head there and cycle through everywhere it needs to go. Just watching to make sure that the radiator stays full. So there we go. Now that we've got the coolant system all bled, we're just gonna watch for any leaks. We're gonna look underneath, around the thermostat, check for leaks. But that's it on replacing a thermostat. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a good day.